Federal Reserve's decision on interest rates. Key points. The U.S. Federal Reserve has decided to keep its key interest rate unchanged for the second time in its past 3 meetings. The current benchmark rate stands at approximately 5.4%. The Federal Reserve has signaled the likelihood of one more rate hike before the end of the year. Consumer inflation has dropped from a peak of 9.1% in June 2022 to 3.7%, but remains above the Fed's 2% target. The central bank aims for a soft landing, balancing the cooling of inflation without triggering a recession. Officials expect to keep rates high into 2024, with only 2 rate cuts expected next year, down from an earlier forecast of 4. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell stated, "The process of getting inflation sustainably down to 2% has a long way to go." Quotes and opinions. "The process of getting inflation sustainably down to 2% has a long way to go," said Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. He also mentioned that they are fairly close to where they need to be to bring inflation down to 2%. "We're taking advantage of the fact that we moved quickly in the past," Powell added, emphasizing a more careful approach to managing rates now. Bank of England's decision on interest rates. Key points. The Bank of England has decided to maintain its interest rate at 5.25%. The Monetary Policy Committee voted 5 versus 4 in favor of keeping the rate unchanged. This decision ends a 14-meeting streak of interest rate hikes by the bank. The decision comes after new data showed inflation falling more than expected. The bank also plans to reduce its stock of UK government bond purchases by £100 billion over the next year. Detailed summary. The Bank of England has announced that it will maintain its interest rate at 5.25%, ending a consecutive run of 14 interest rate hikes. The decision was made by a narrow margin, with the Monetary Policy Committee voting 5-4 in favour of keeping the rate unchanged. This marks the first time the MPC has voted to maintain the interest rate since November 2021. The decision comes a day after new data revealed that inflation has fallen more than expected. Prior to the release of this data, markets had placed an 80% probability on the bank raising the rate by a further quarter percentage point. However, this probability dropped to just below 50% following the new inflation data. The bank had been consistently raising rates since December 2021 to combat inflation, taking its main policy rate from 0.1% to a 15-year high of 5.25% in August. Andrew Bailey, the Bank of England governor, stated, "Inflation has fallen a lot in recent months, and we think it will continue to do so. That's welcome news, but there is no room for complacency. We need to be sure inflation returns to normal, and we will continue to take the decisions necessary to do just that." The bank also announced plans to cut its stock of UK government bond purchases by £100 billion over the next 12 months, reducing its total asset pile to £658 billion. Opinions and future outlook. 4 members of the MPC, John Cunliffe, Megan Green, Jonathan Haskell, and Catherine Mann, voted in favour of raising the interest rate, signalling that the bank may consider rate hikes in the coming months. The bank stated, "There are increasing signs of some impact of tighter monetary policy on the labour market and on momentum in the real economy more generally.